These tourists arrived on an unknown island for their honeymoon, an island where every citizen followed strange and disturbing rituals. These rituals were so terrifying that they could drive anyone to death. The thrilling story begins with Christine and Neil, a married couple traveling to a mysterious island in Thailand to celebrate their honeymoon. They had no idea what kind of strange place it was. They were simply drawn to its outer beauty. One morning, Christine suddenly wakes up in their hotel room, feeling intense pain throughout her body. It seems like she's been asleep for hours. She notices dirt all over her body and the bed, and around her neck is a pendant she never bought. She has no idea where it came from or when she put it on. Startled, she wakes Neil up and urges him to get ready quickly because their flight home is that day. Neil, still confused, can't understand how he ended up in that condition. Maybe they had too much to drink last night. As they're getting ready, the news comes on TV warning about a dangerous storm expected to hit the island by evening. Everyone is advised to stay indoors. Luckily, Christine and Neil were already planning to leave that day, so they head out early for the airport. But halfway there, their cab suddenly stops. The driver explains that he can't go any further because a regional festival is taking place and the roads ahead are packed. The couple is forced to continue their journey to the airport on foot. To reach the next island, they need to take a boat, but that's when Christine realizes she left her phone and ID back in the hotel room. Without her ID, she can't travel. A boat crew member tells her that more boats will arrive in a few hours, and she might transfer on one of those. With no other option, Christine and Neil return to the hotel. While waiting, Neil connects his phone to the TV to watch some videos they had recorded. But suddenly, he finds a strange video about an hour long, something they never filmed. So how did this mysterious footage end up on his phone? To find out what was going on, Neil decided to play the video. After watching it for a while, they realized it was footage of themselves, Christine and Neil, from the night before. It showed that they were both extremely drunk and having dinner at a restaurant. Suddenly, a waitress named Maddie appeared on screen. They could clearly see her secretly pouring some strange liquid into their drinks while serving them food. Christine, unaware of it, drank it all without hesitation. Later in the video, Maddie handed Christine the same pendant that was now hanging around her neck. That's when Christine finally understood how the strange locket ended up on her. Curious and unsettled, they fast-forwarded the video to see what happened next. Soon, the footage showed them in the middle of a garden, where Neil appeared to be trying to force himself on Christine. For some unknown reason, a heated fight broke out between them. But moments later, the video showed Neil strangling Christine to death and burying her body right there in the garden. Watching this, Christine was in complete shock. She couldn't believe it. How could she be dead in the video if she was standing right here, alive with Neil? Still, she became furious and stormed into the bathroom. She couldn't make sense of how that video even existed. Her disbelief turned into horror when she noticed hand-shaped bruises on her neck, exactly where Neil had choked her in the footage. Terrified, she ripped off the pendant and threw it aside. But the moment she did, she started vomiting a thick black liquid. No one could tell what it was, but it looked unnatural, almost inhuman. Hearing her screams, Neil rushed in and tried to calm her down, realizing she might need medical help. He called for assistance, and their neighbor Sam arrived with her little daughter, Natalie. Both tried to comfort Christine, and Natalie, being an innocent child, seemed fascinated by the necklace. Strangely, she picked it up and placed it back around Christine's neck. Sam then gave Neil the contact of a nearby doctor. Neil quickly took Christine to the clinic, where an elderly doctor examined her. Christine told him everything: the vomiting, the pendant, and the terrifying video showing her death. After listening, the doctor calmly told her she was just exhausted and hallucinating. He dismissed the video as nothing more than a scene from a movie. The doctor told them, "You both were extremely drunk last night. Everything you're experiencing is just because of that." After hearing this, Christine and Neil started to believe him. Maybe none of it was real, just hallucinations caused by exhaustion. Still feeling disoriented, Christine looked out and saw some children playing nearby. But when she looked again a few moments later, she was horrified to see that the children's eyes and mouths were covered with black cloth. Seeing her confusion, the doctor handed her a strange liquid, saying it would help her feel better. But Christine refused to drink it and walked out with Neil. They went to the beachside, feeling hungry, and stopped at a small restaurant. As they ate, they noticed a local festival was happening nearby. People were dressed in bizarre costumes, dancing, and celebrating. Neil got excited and started filming everything on his camera. As he moved closer to capture more, Christine noticed something chilling: a strange effigy wearing a mask that looked exactly like her face. She couldn't understand how or why. Just then, someone snatched Neil's phone and ran off. Neil immediately chased the thief, leaving Christine alone. Sitting there, she removed her necklace again, but the moment she did, her condition worsened. The same thick black liquid began pouring from her mouth, and she ran to the restroom. Inside, she vomited something so horrifying she couldn't even describe it. It didn't look human at all. As she stumbled out of the restroom weak and terrified, someone grabbed her from behind. She was kidnapped. When she regained consciousness, she found herself in a dimly lit place. In front of her stood a girl whose eyes were leaking the same black liquid. The girl filled a syringe with that dark fluid and injected it directly into Christine's body. Christine screamed in pain as her vision blurred. She couldn't tell anymore what was real and what was hallucination. Meanwhile, Neil finally found his stolen phone, but when he returned to the spot, Christine was gone. After frantically searching, he discovered her unconscious near their hotel. He carried her back, took care of her, and was shocked to see that the necklace she had removed earlier was somehow back around her neck again. Christine told him everything, how strange people had kidnapped her, injected her with that black substance, and how she believed all of this was connected to Maddie, the waitress from that night. That was the same woman who had slipped something into Christine's drink. Later, as Christine and Neil were traveling, they stopped by a nearby shop run by a woman named Kenda. The entire shop was filled with strange handmade dolls that looked like they were used for rituals. Christine and Neil showed Kenda the mysterious pendant and asked if she knew a woman named Maddie. Kenda explained that the pendant was a traditional charm among the islanders, something they only gave to people they deeply cared for. But that made no sense to Christine and Neil. They had only been on the island for a few days. How could the locals have formed any bond with them? Pushing aside their doubts, they asked Kenda for Maddie's address. She reluctantly gave it to them but warned, "You shouldn't go there. That place is dangerous for outsiders." Ignoring her warning, the couple set out for the location. When they arrived, they were surrounded by local villagers who began staring and laughing at Christine, almost as if they were happy to see her. Among them was Maddie. Neil immediately approached her and demanded, "What did you put in our drinks?" Maddie quietly handed him their passports and said, "You can leave if you want." But of course, Neil wasn't about to abandon his wife. When he pressed her for answers, Maddie finally confessed that the liquid was a kind of drug, something that heightened human perception to an extreme level but also caused severe hallucinations, like what Christine had been experiencing. Furious, Christine tried to return the pendant, but Maddie stopped her, saying, "Once this locket is given, it cannot be taken back." Christine began to realize it might be true. Every time she removed the pendant, her body weakened terribly. Strange events kept following the couple, and the atmosphere grew darker. While Christine was still talking to Maddie, the villagers stood motionless, staring at her, making her and Neil extremely uncomfortable. They left immediately, went back to the hotel, and asked Sam to help them arrange a boat to get off the island. Before they left, Maddie offered them one last drink. Neil accepted it without hesitation. Soon after, their boat arrived, and Neil waited near the dock with a relaxed smile. Christine borrowed his phone to check their flight schedule, but when she unlocked it, she found a chilling video. It showed Neil in an unknown place, saying, "Today is my last day. After this, I won't survive, and it will keep happening again." Horrified, Christine rushed to tell him, but before she could, the fisherman beside Neil whispered something in his ear and suddenly stabbed him in the chest. Neil collapsed into the water, gasping in pain as Christine screamed his name, her voice echoing across the sea. Overwhelmed and weak, she fainted on the spot. When she regained consciousness a while later, she saw Sam standing in front of her. Christine tried explaining everything to Sam, but she had no proof, nothing to clearly show what was happening. To make things worse, the same fisherman who had attacked Neil was there too, watching her closely. Christine couldn't confront him directly, so she decided to return to the desolate place she had seen in the video, the one where Neil appeared. After calling out his name several times, she finally saw something. As she approached, she was horrified to find Neil's decomposed body. It looked like he had been dead for years. The sight shattered her, but soon she realized it wasn't real, it was another hallucination. Moments later, Sam appeared and handed her a phone. The call was from Neil. Christine answered immediately, but the signal was weak, and Neil's voice kept breaking. She couldn't tell if he was alive or if it was just another illusion. Desperate for answers, Christine decided to return to the place where Maddie and the strange townspeople had been. She and Sam drove there as fast as they could, but when they arrived, the entire area was silent and deserted. Everyone who had been there earlier had vanished. Sam went off in another direction to look around while Christine kept calling out for Neil. Eventually, she stumbled into a nearby restaurant, where an old telephone sat on the counter. Suddenly, the phone started ringing on its own. Nervously, Christine picked it up, and from the other end came a strange, chanting voice, like someone reciting an ancient ritual. Terrified, she turned around and froze. The island citizens were standing right behind her. But something was horribly off. Their faces were distorted, their eyes unnaturally dark and empty. They didn't attack her, just stood there staring. Gathering her courage, Christine stepped closer and reached out to touch one of the women's faces. The moment she did, a thick, gaseous substance burst from the woman's mouth and hit Christine directly in the face. She screamed and collapsed unconscious. Ever since arriving on this cursed island, she had been falling in and out of hallucinations, trapped between reality and nightmare. When she finally opened her eyes again, she found herself inside a small house, disoriented and weak, still unsure whether her husband Neil was alive, or if he had ever been real at all. If we ever found ourselves trapped in a situation like this, where the locals of a place we're visiting turn out to be performing some kind of ritual on us, then the most important thing is to stay alert and know how to protect ourselves. First, never eat or drink anything given by strangers, because that's usually how it all begins. Any drink, drug, or strange liquid they offer could be laced with substances that make us lose control. If you realize this early, you can still save yourself. But what if it's too late? What if you've already consumed something suspicious? In that case, you have to remember that as long as that unknown substance is inside your stomach, its effects will continue to spread through your body, causing severe hallucinations. The only solution is to get it out. The best way to expel it is through vomiting. If it doesn't happen naturally, you can force it by putting your fingers down your throat, just as doctors do when they induce vomiting or use a tube to remove toxic substances. Once everything is out, rinse your mouth well, drink clean water, and keep your body as clean as possible. And if you realize those people are performing rituals, don't waste time, take the first flight out of that place and leave the island immediately. But poor Christine and Neil never even got that chance to escape. When Christine woke up in that room, a sharp pain began in her stomach. She rushed to the bathroom and started throwing up, her body trembling. In frustration, she tore off her necklace, and suddenly, strange visions flooded her mind. In them, she saw herself standing deep in the forest, surrounded by the same eerie villagers with distorted faces. They were performing a ritual on her, and nearby was a strange creature inside a bag. When the ritual ended, they placed that creature directly into her body. Christine screamed and fought back, but none of them showed any mercy. Why were these terrifying things happening to her? The answer was about to be revealed. When she finally saw Sam again, Christine desperately asked, "Where is Neil?" Sam calmly replied that Neil was safe, but had gone away for a while. After watching the video where he appeared to kill Christine, Neil began fearing that he might actually hurt her in real life while under the influence of the drugs. That fear drove him to distance himself temporarily. Sam assured her that things would get better soon, that what she was experiencing were just hallucinations and that her body was weak. Wanting to help, Sam took Christine back to the old doctor for a checkup. The doctor examined her carefully, and after a few moments, he looked at her with concern. "You're pregnant," he said. Christine froze, her mind spinning. Just a few days ago, she had been to the same doctor, and back then, there had been no sign of pregnancy at all. No one could understand how something like this was even possible in just 2 days. When the doctor showed Christine her ultrasound results, she was horrified to see that the baby inside her looked completely unnatural, something not human. Terrified, she ran out of the clinic without looking back, unsure what to do or where to go. In desperation, she went straight to Kenda, the only woman she believed could help her. Kenda was known to have deep knowledge of magic and spiritual rituals. Christine told her everything, how strange things had been happening, how her husband Neil had vanished, and how she kept seeing visions that didn't make sense. Kenda listened quietly, but deep down, she already knew the truth. She had kept it hidden all this time to save her own life. But now, seeing Christine's condition, she finally revealed everything. She explained that the people living on this island were descendants of an ancient tribe. For centuries, their clan had performed dark rituals to protect the island from natural disasters and storms. Every year, they would sacrifice a pregnant woman as part of their sacred tradition, and this time, Christine had been chosen. The night Christine and Neil arrived, the villagers secretly drugged both of them with different substances. The drug given to Christine caused powerful hallucinations, while the one mixed into Neil's drink drove him completely out of control. Just as the ritual demanded, Neil, in his delirium, killed Christine and buried her, exactly as seen in the mysterious video. The horrifying truth was that the Christine standing now was neither alive nor dead. She existed in a spiritual realm, an in-between world made up of restless souls. The eerie villagers she had seen were actually spirits of those who had been sacrificed before her. They believed that by continuing these sacrifices, their island would remain protected from storms and other natural calamities. That meant they would never willingly let Christine go. As long as she wore the magical locket around her neck, she was somewhat safe, but only temporarily. Desperate, Christine pleaded with Kenda to help her find Neil so they could escape together. Kenda agreed, but only on one condition: Christine had to give her the magical locket afterward to heal her own dying son, who was suffering from cancer. She explained that the locket's spiritual energy could cure him, but Christine would have to decide whether to save herself, or save another life. The doctor confirmed everything, but before Kenda or Christine could react, they heard footsteps outside. Someone was approaching. Christine quickly hid behind a shelf, holding her breath. The door creaked open, and to her horror, it was the same old doctor. His expression was calm, almost emotionless, as he stepped closer to Kenda. Without warning, he attacked her. Christine's eyes widened in shock as Kenda collapsed to the floor, lifeless. The doctor had killed her, proving that he too was part of this dark cult. Terrified, Christine grabbed a nearby gun Kenda had hidden under the table and ran out of the house as fast as she could. Her mind was spinning, there was no one left to trust. Just when she thought all hope was lost, she saw Sam waiting near a parked car. Sam waved and called out, saying she had a car ready to take Christine far away from the island. Desperate to escape, Christine got in without hesitation. For a moment, it felt like she might finally be safe. Her daughter, Natalie, was sitting quietly in the back seat. But a few miles later, Natalie suddenly said in a trembling voice, "Mom, this isn't the road that leads home." Christine froze. She looked out the window, the road twisted deeper into the woods, away from the coast. A sinking feeling hit her. Something was wrong. Trying to stay calm, Christine asked gently, "Natalie, where is your mother?" The little girl turned to her with a haunting look and whispered, "She went back into the ground." Christine's heart dropped. That confirmed it, Sam wasn't who she seemed. She turned toward Sam, who was now smiling strangely. "You don't understand," Sam said softly. "These spiritual forces aren't evil, they help us. Before coming here, I had terminal cancer. I was dying. But this island healed me." Her voice grew darker. "But when the spirits give you life, they always take something back in return. That's the balance." Christine realized she had been betrayed. Sam had never planned to help her escape, she was delivering her back to the cult for the final ritual. Without hesitation, Christine fastened her seatbelt, pulled out the gun, and fired. The bullet hit Sam instantly. The car swerved out of control, crashing violently into a tree. Smoke filled the air. Bruised and bleeding, Christine crawled out of the wreck. She could barely stand, but she knew one thing for sure: she had to get off this cursed island no matter what. Stumbling into the dense forest, she kept running, branches cutting her skin, the shadows whispering behind her. She wasn't going to stop until she was free. But unfortunately, the spiritual villagers had already found her. They surrounded Christine before she could get far and dragged her back to the ritual site. Once again, they injected her with something to knock her unconscious. When she finally woke up, she was tied to a large stone pillar at the center of an open courtyard. Torches burned around her, casting eerie shadows on the walls. Everyone she had met since arriving on the island was there: Maddie, the doctor, Sam, even the villagers who had smiled at her earlier. It was all connected. Every single one of them had been part of this dark ritual from the start. Christine now understood the horrifying truth: they were going to sacrifice her. Panic surged through her veins, but she knew she couldn't give up. Somewhere, Neil was still out there. She had to find him, no matter what. But her mind was breaking. The drugs and fear blurred her reality, flooding her with hallucinations. In one vision, she saw herself sitting on the beach with Neil, just like their first day on the island. They were laughing, holding hands, talking about adopting a child someday since she couldn't get pregnant. For a moment, it felt peaceful, almost real. But then the chanting pulled her back to the nightmare. The crowd began surrounding her, whispering strange incantations. Christine screamed Neil's name and fought with all her strength. She slammed her wrists against the pillar, breaking free of the ropes, then grabbed a sharp iron rod from the ground. As Maddie stepped closer, Christine swung it, striking her hard. Chaos broke out. Villagers tried to restrain her, but Christine fought like her life depended on it, because it did. Bloodied and desperate, she began to run toward the jungle, but before she could escape, little Natalie appeared in front of her. The child's voice was soft yet chilling. "Don't go," she said. "If you leave, everything will fall apart." All the spiritual forces were now connected to Christine, and Natalie warned her that if she left, everyone on the island would die. Christine tried to convince the little girl to come with her, but Natalie refused. She, too, was part of those spiritual forces. Confused and terrified, Christine made the only choice she could: she ran. She sprinted through the dense forest, branches tearing at her clothes, her heart pounding with fear. Finally, she reached the shore, stumbled into a small boat, and pushed herself into the open water, desperate to get as far away from that cursed island as possible. The next day, we see the island completely destroyed. A massive storm had torn through it, wrecking homes and taking countless lives. This was inevitable, because the ritual had never been completed. Those ceremonies were what kept the island protected by the spirits, but with Christine's escape, the balance was broken. The islanders paid the price, their world reduced to ruins. Meanwhile, Christine drifted alone in her boat, surrounded by endless water. No one knew if she would ever be rescued. But soon, the terrible truth was revealed: Christine was already dead. When she had removed her locket, the very object that connected her to the spiritual realm, her body had collapsed. Just as Kenda had warned her, she existed between life and death, and without that link, she could no longer survive. Days later, Christine's lifeless body washed ashore, along with others destroyed by the storm. But when one villager placed the mystical locket back onto her chest, something unbelievable happened. Christine suddenly gasped for air. Her eyes opened once more. She was alive again, but not in the human world. She was now part of that strange spiritual realm forever, bound to the same dark energy she had tried so hard to escape. And with that, our mysterious story comes to an end.